I'm Linda Saunders. I am a mother, a grandmother, a girlfriend. I am a gardener, a designer of many things. And that's basically what I do.
Yeah?
I mother, I garden, I design,
And you happen to be a grandmother? Did you say that?
yes, I did.
And what is the best thing about being a grandmother?
Not having to be a mother.
What does that mean?
Uh, you just get to love them a lot. A lot. And being a grandmother, you're mature and you're grown up. And it's not about you anymore. And it's about those babies. And you're more mature enough to separate yourself from that. I was a very young mother, so I wasn't as grown up as I would like to have been. But thankfully, my grown-up children have forgiven me all that, and we have wonderful relationships.
I happen to know that your grown-up children think the world of you, and they are all very successful people, which really is saying something about you, isn't it? You're too modest to say that, of course, but somebody looking in from the outside, they see your children and they know a lot about you, I think.
No, I don't know about all of that. I just do know that I think the secret to all of that is just to love them where they're at, no matter what, even when they're doing horrible things or what you think is a horrible thing, and just love them through it, and just continue to love them through it, and love who they are. My 4 children are all very, very different from each other, and I love them each for those differences. I don't know where it all came from. I think they just came into the world being who they are. Things have molded them, but the true core of them is still the same.
And your grandchildren?
They're the same way. They have their true core too, but a lot of similarities to their parents, but then some not so much. I have one grandchild who we're not quite sure where he came from. He's such a wonderful soul. And not that my children aren't wonderful souls or my children's parents aren't wonderful souls, but this one has got something that none of us came into the world with. Very special.
Very special indeed. Yeah? And of course, I think that grandchildren are special anyway, don't you think? And when they're special, that's even special. Yeah?
It's a privilege. It's a privilege to get to be a grandmother to such wonderful children. And to be able to, for the most part, enjoy them. I have 2 that don't live locally, and I don't get the chance to bond with them as much as I would like, but hopefully that will start to change a little more, and we'll see.
So, if you were able to send them a message, what would you tell them?
That I'd love to get to know them better.
But how do you do that?
Time,
Time.
and paying attention, and not assuming, just listen to them. And it goes back to just loving exactly who they are. It's important.
Yeah.
It's very important.
We live in a marvelous time, I think. Back in the old days, as they say, which is why Solomon says, don't ever say how much better things were in the old days, because they weren't. And nowadays, you have the phone, the iPhone. You have virtual reality, which in fact is almost reality, in that you can communicate with them, right?
Yeah, but I'm not very comfortable in front of a camera, even on a Skype, so.
But you have been in front of the camera a lot of times. I've seen you on television a lot.
It doesn't mean I'm comfortable.
That's true.
But it depends. If I'm in my element and I'm in something that I am comfortable with, like in the garden, sharing the butterflies or the flowers, or something I feel very confident about and about speaking about. because
The
you
last-
know there's always someone who knows more than you. So you
Yeah.
have to accept that when you're speaking, and hopefully they accept that also.
The last time I saw you on television, you were talking about the light show. And
Yes.
that is quite an accomplishment.
It is. It is quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget what a big deal it is, but it's a very big deal.
And you're still not totally satisfied with the result, are you? I mean, there's always...
Oh, no, I won't say I'm not satisfied. I'm satisfied. It's a wonderful show. But you can always see things that you could improve, or things you could do different, or even not even improve or different, but just new things to come. You have to always be thinking about the future and what you might want to do differently next year, not because it wasn't good this year, but just for the sake of changing it and giving our public something that they haven't seen yet. That's our job. That's our job, to keep them interested, keep them coming back. Because if it's the same thing, then that's a good excuse not to get off of their warm, comfortable couch, is say, I saw it last year. So I don't ever want them to get into that mode of thinking that they've seen it.
Well, I happen to, as a photographer, I've been to the gardens, and I have seen the butterfly garden, as a matter of fact. I've shot some pictures there, and I think that of itself is quite an accomplishment, don't you think? Can you improve on that? I mean, that to me is perfection.
It's not perfection. It's not perfection. And yes, you can improve. The thing about the butterfly garden is that the idea would be to get closer and closer and closer to nature, to what is natural, the way it came on this earth and where it happens without our help is perfection. So to try to help it be perfect would be to remove what we've done to change the earth, and that's not easy.
Wow.
Yeah, where did that profound come from?
Well, no, but you know, you've said a mouthful in that a lot of people are living what I consider, this is a personal opinion, of course, but I consider artificial life. And they don't spend enough time on the outdoors with nature. I do, and I can't imagine not doing that, you know. And I sometimes wonder about the children who are not able to go out to the outdoors because of fear of things that are, I don't know how to put it, but their parents won't allow them to get close to nature because they're afraid of what's in nature. I don't think that's right, do you?
No, we all grew up in nature to some extent without all the protections that they put on their children before they carry them out now. And I think we're living very long lives without all of that. And I think to protect someone from nature, if you feel the need to protect and you're sharing that need to protect, you are creating a bit of fear. I mean, anything you're protecting yourself from is a fear of that thing. And that thing can be the sun. It can be the insects. It can be getting dirty. And we weren't scared of that when we were little. I mean, there were bugs I didn't like, you know, and was scared of. But I didn't go out the door thinking, oh my God, what if I see a bug, you know? It was just something that happened. And as you get older, you learn to be curious about those things and investigate those things. And those type of people are the people who are able to educate us because they stop to discover, and that's important.
But if you put yourself in a parent's shoes, a parent who really grew up in the city, they've never been out in nature, so their fear is based upon their perception. How do you overcome that, though?
I'm not sure. I think everyone needs to get out and enjoy it and be quiet for a while. Find their peace. And I realize we all find our peace in different situations. But to deprive yourself of what I would call nature you are separating yourself from a responsibility that our future generations and ourselves are going to have to be protecting. Not yourself, but nature.
You know, here is where I have to make an observation. I think we all see the results of the abuse of nature. We have plastic cups, we have plastic forks, we have television, we have gasoline, but the average person really don't know where their comfort items are coming from, nor do they know that a lot of times it's totally unnecessary. I mean, sometimes it's necessary, but I think you have to manage nature to get the things that you want and not abuse nature. Is that I mean, how do you feel about that? Manage rather than to abuse nature.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't think people are aware, and I'm not even aware. I'm still trying to understand how the trash I throw away ends up in the ocean. I'm still trying to grasp what I think I'm doing as being responsible, yet is it ending up in the ocean? And I don't quite grasp that. So this last Thanksgiving holiday, when I had 12 people eating in my house, I refused to use plastic or paper, except for our paper napkins.
So
You know what the consequences of that was?
What?
Doing dishes a whole lot. But I did have help. I did have help in the kitchen. So I wasn't the only one doing dishes. And I don't really mind doing dishes until it takes up a lot of my time. But no plastic utensils are going in the landfill because of my Thanksgiving. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Wow. So it's just one person at a time, making one decision at a time to eliminate the need for plastics. Mm-hmm. And you did it, didn't you?
Well, I did it one time. I
Yeah.
need to continue. It's easy to do something one time. And that's my goal, is to continue and see if I can possibly set an example. Maybe my grandkids will notice that. Maybe they'll say we shouldn't use plastic.
Right.
So Nana doesn't use plastic, so I'm not going to use plastic. I don't know. Although they did abuse a bunch of straws, which were plastic. So that's still another one. If they're not in the house, they won't play with them, which is the same thing as drinking with them. For kids, it's
Yeah.
the same thing. But that's
Well,
another step.
The other thing I know is your involvement in the kitchen garden, where you're trying to encourage people to plant flowers and food and that sort of thing. Do you think that will catch on?
Oh, I think it's always been there. There's always been a core of people who love to grow their own vegetables, and I think it's always been big. I think it needs to be reintroduced a little bit, and I think it's harder to do in a city environment. But I think they can be taught different ways that they can do it, and it is the only way that we can know where our food comes from. And I will tell you, your food tastes better when you know where it comes from.
Really? That's not a myth?
I don't think so. And I think it's because you mentally accept that. You know it's processed. You know the hands that have touched it. And generally speaking, you love those hands that touched it. You know those people, even if it's not yourself. Someone gathered me some okra from the garden one day, and I know exactly where that okra came from. And it didn't even come out of my garden. It was some that we were using more for aesthetic reasons. But my fellow gardener knew I loved the okra and brought it to me, and when I was eating it, it was just so nice to know exactly where it came from.
I think it would be nice if everyone had a backyard garden, huh? Even if it is to grow tomatoes or something.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But where do you start? I mean, it's interesting that we have access to all the information in the world now through the internet. But still, there is that fear of, okay, maybe not fear is not the word, but how do you start? They still ask the question, how do you do it? You know, how do you start? It's one thing to see a video of something, it's quite another to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think we're all used to learning through videos now. Videos and the, I don't know, the programs that are out there for us to learn from are totally utilized. I mean, everyone knows if you don't know how to do something, YouTube it. And that's what we do. I mean, I've got my daughters fixing their cars, and that's what they do. They go on YouTube, and there's somebody has shot a video of how to change your light in your car. You know, your headlight, your tail light, your whatever, and they do it. They just do it. They go to the store, they get what the YouTube video said they needed to get.
Well, you know, you're
And they do
endorsing
it.
what I do, which is good, thank you.
Making videos, yes. That's how we learn nowadays. And it's so accessible. It is so accessible. And it's sometimes hard to pick up a book to learn something from when all you have to do is type that into your search, and there it is. But that's not a bad thing. That's
No.
not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
It's education. It's learning.
That's
And
not
it's
a-
taking care of yourself. If one person can do it, most likely you can do it too. You know, if it's not a matter of strength or health or whatever, you can learn it. We can all learn.
Knowledge is power, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube bring it all to you. Yeah. Well, listen, it was very nice talking with you. Appreciate it.
I've enjoyed watching the bug float up and down from your camera.
Well,
The things people don't
I'll tell you
see.
what it is. Yeah, I have been watching that
You
little
saw
bug
'em too,
go
huh?
up and down, and while I was watching that bug go up and down my camera, it's a little spider, I think.
I think
I
so.
kept thinking of Bruce, of Scottish fame, when he was running away and he went to the cave, and he felt afraid, of course.
I have a sneeze.
Sure,
Keep going.
absolutely. It's all natural stuff. Okay, so he goes into the cave and he doesn't know what to do, and he watches the spider go up and down, and he would go down and he would fail, and he'd go up again, down and he would fail, up again. And that, in fact, inspired Bruce to beat the British, the Scottish Bruce, to beat the British, a spider. So, I don't like to kill anything, not even a spider. I just don't. I have a lot of respect for a life. So yeah, I've been watching that same spider go up and down my camera. But as you can see, this place is so modest, and it is what it is, you know. I don't think the average person really care what this place looks like,
No,
you know.
no. It serves the purpose.
So long as they can see a Linda Saunders talk about the garden and about her grandchildren and about the future, and not using plastic for Thanksgiving.
It's a start. It's a start.
Did he go away?
I haven't seen him since we started talking about him. Maybe he's shy too.
Could be. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Are you pleased? Good.